Hey guys, welcome back to Bohs Fan TV, and today we're going to do another kind of transfer roundup video. One deal that was done yesterday, and one that looks to be very close. First of all, I'm joined by Aaron. How are you, Aaron?
Good.
Yeah, so we'll get straight into it. We'll start with the confirmed deal. Yesterday it was confirmed that we've signed Stephen Mallon, winger. He was on loan at Derry last season, at Sheffield United, in England. What do you make of that signing?
Yeah, we didn't really hear too much rumors about him coming, but yeah, it's a good signing. He's played in the league before, so he knows the league. He scored against Bohs last year as well. We went up there before lockdown, so I think it's a good signing. Looking forward to seeing him playing in the Bohs shirt.
Yeah, definitely. I remember he scored a cracker against us earlier on last season, and he beat us 2-0. He had a good season with Derry. He was obviously on loan at Sheffield United, or from Sheffield United, and he done quite well. He was one of Derry's standout players. I'd imagine he's come in as a replacement to Danny Grant. I know he probably isn't as good as Danny Grant, but he kind of has those similar attributes to him. Quick and has a good feet. Can cross the ball and get you goals, and he's quite a versatile player as well. Yeah, can play on either wing, so he'll certainly bring a lot to the squad. One that looks quite close to happen. He's meant to be joining Pats, but it looks as if Bohs have hijacked the deal. Bashing Hery. What would you make of that signing if it was to happen?
If that was to happen, that would be a brilliant signing. Bring another midfielder in who's like when he's been in the league with Waterford previously, he's been really good. I'd be happy to see him come in, give us a bit of stability in midfield. We've kind of lacked a bit in numbers, and he'd be like a kind of Kante type of player, just sit there, do all the dirty work. So him and Bucko in midfield would be a good partnership, I think.
Yeah, obviously he was at Waterford there a couple of years ago, and he was probably the best player in the league. If you look at it, one of the better players in the league just before Jack Byrne came. Uh, he was really good at Waterford. He just had that bit about him, where he can get the ball and make things happen. He likes to play with the ball, and uh, yeah, he's a really good player. Like when he went up to Linfield, I was quite surprised. I thought that was a good signing for Linfield, but for whatever reason, it just didn't work out for him up north, and he's looking to come back to the League of Ireland. From what reports are saying, he was talking to a lot of clubs, including Pats, which was his most likely destination there for a couple of days until news broke yesterday that apparently Bohs have hijacked the deal and that it could be announced at some point this week. Yeah, whenever Bohs have played Waterford, when he was there, for me he was always a standout player. He just weaved in and out players and really pulled the strings for Waterford. He's a big loss, but he'll certainly add a lot to the team if we can bring him in. A couple of weeks ago we were looking at the team and we were wondering, where are the goals going to come from? Is our players like Thomas Lewa good enough to replace Danny Grant? Our players like Georgie Kelly good enough to replace Andre Roy? But now that Steve Mallon's come in and Bastion here, he looks like he might be on his way in. It doesn't look too bad after all. How do you think Hery would improve the squad, Aaron?
Yeah, I think he'll come in, and obviously we were doing that we were going through the squad and looking at where we needed players to come in each position, and I think we both said we needed another midfielder, an attacking midfielder and a defensive midfielder. So he'd feel like he's a kind of a box to box because he's not afraid to shoot. I remember he scored a goal down and turned his cross started the season 2 years ago from outside the box. He pinged it in bottom corner. So he's obviously got both sides to his game, which will really benefit the team and get more goals, which we kind of lacked last year a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. He'll bring a lot to the squad. He's an improvement on what we had last season. You'd have to wonder what will happen to players like Keith Ward and Dawson Avoy. I know that they've signed for next season, but you have they kind of fallen down the pecking order a bit. Maybe Keith Ward might be used more as a winger because we know he can play there. And Dawson Boy's a player that's got a lot of potential. Um, maybe he might come in, drop a bit more deeper, kind of play in the middle with Bucko, um, or he might play in the cam role, who knows. But yeah, this one looks like it's going to be announced quite soon. Um, so looking at the team, I know it's early doors, but where do you think we can finish next season?
Like, you have to take into consideration the other teams as well around the league, and our squad now is probably it's still a bit weaker than it was going into last season. But I think the only team that have really improved their squad is Rovers. They've added some real quality, but they've obviously lost Jack Byrne. So I can see us finishing second or third at this moment in time, but that could change within the next few weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to get Europe for a third time in a row. It would be a great achievement. We're bringing in this type of players that can definitely help us get to there. Like, I think we still need a few more. So far we've signed Tyreek Wilson, Georgie Kelly, Thomas Lewis, Rory Feely, Stephen Mallon. It looks like Bashan Hery will be coming in. So yeah, it'd be a strong win though if we can get maybe another striker in and another winger, maybe a centre back if Dan Casey was to go. But I think going into next season, if we have a pretty strong squad, a couple of people are getting worried. I was kind of getting kind of worried as well. Wondering how these kind of players will improve the team. But now that we've added Stephen Mallon, and it looks like another quality player in Bashan here. He's going to be coming in. Things aren't looking too bad after all. Yeah, I just kind of find it kind of mad, that Hery looked desperate to go to Pats, and I was kind of thinking to myself, Bohs has missed a trick here. He's a good player. He wanted to come back to the League of One. He wasn't really enjoying that at Linfield, but and then you see that looks like we've hijacked the deal, and you're thinking, it's a good signing, but it's funny how the Pats fans are saying when they're about to sign him that he's a great player, but then after that, when they found out that we've hijacked the deal, they're like, oh, he's shite anyway, I don't need him, but it's just funny, but yeah, it'd be over the moon, if we could get Hery, and he, as we mentioned, before Jack Byrne came into the league, he was probably the best midfielder in the league.
Yeah.
He added blocks to Waterford. He definitely their standout player every time he played Waterford while he was there. He has a good pedigree as well. Like, he was at PSG when he was kind of younger, and he's played in England with Oldham and Carlisle. I believe he was at Sheffield Wednesday at one point as well. Sorry, but when he was in Ireland League One, kind of when he had his kind of best days, playing at Waterford, and he was at Limerick as well before that, and he done quite well there. But yeah, he's had like his best moments at Waterford and in the League of Ireland, so it'll be an interesting signing nonetheless. But actually here I have just one more thing to go through here. We kind of made a kind of mock-up of the squad of what we can expect for 2021. So this is obviously made before. I made this before Mallon and Hery Mallon's coming in and Hery's meant to be coming in. But back four: Talbot, Wilson, Finnerty, Cornwall, and Feely. Back Talbot the goalkeeper in the back four. Wilson, Finnerty, Cornwall, Feely. Decent enough back four. Then midfield three originally had Levingston, Buckley, and Coo, but if Hery comes in, he could come in where Coo is or where Levingston is. Then there's always that option of moving Ali Coo onto the right because I know he can play there. I had Thomas Liu on the left, but obviously since Stephen Mallon's come in, he'll probably play on the left, and Georgie Kelly up front. So if we do sign Bashir Hery, it'll be, I think, probably the strongest team. Probably be like Talbot, Wilson, Finnerty, Cornwall, Feely, maybe Conor Levinson, Keith Buckley, and Bashir Hery in that kind of midfield three. And then front three, Steve Mallon, Georgie Kelly, and Ali Coo. Pretty decent squad. Do you think we could do well with a team like that?
Yeah, like even looking at there, like the players that we brought in, they're all quality players, and like the majority of them are like they're young players, so they're only going to get better, which is a good thing. And Keith Long and Trevor Crawley, obviously, they've the last few years have brought young players in, mostly from England, and they've brought them back, and they've further developed their career. Like look at Lee, he's gone on to play with Dundalk now, and he was probably one of our best players for 2 years. So let's hope that these players can show the same like commitment and the drive to push for Europe and maybe even go that bit further.
Yeah. We know that Keith Long and Trevor Crawley have a great knack for talent. Bringing in these type of players that mightn't have been as extravagant as they had been at their previous clubs. But then once they come in, they hit the ground running and they really make a name for themselves at Bohs. And it was said that Bashir Hery, it was almost done. His move to Pats, it was meant to be announced today even, and it was apparently like the last minute change of heart. And I wonder what kind of convinced him to come to Bohs. What would you think it could be?
I think it could be the manager and the way the club's going up every season, and I think that's what convinced him to join, because he'll come in, he'll have to fight first place in the squad, but once he'll get in, he'll just play football and push for Europe. Because I remember when he was at Waterford, they finished fourth, I think, but they ended up not getting Europe because of some name with their club or something. So he'll want to play European football, so no better place to come than Bohs, and we obviously have it this year as well.
Yeah, obviously Pats aren't in Europe this year. We are, and I think some of it may play down to kind of like a money issue. Maybe Bohs offered them a higher wage and he decided to come to Bohs, or I don't know, maybe just the prospect of working under Keith Long kind of convinced him. I don't know, but and also seeing something that Keith Long, he travelled up to Belfast on Christmas Eve to try and get Stephen Mallon to sign, which shows his commitment and his desire to bring Stephen to the club. So it's I think we can look ahead to the new season in a positive way. If we can get Bashir Hery in, we already have Stephen Mallon in. We're able to hope we have a good season. I think. What would you think the aspirations for the 2021 season should be?
Well, whenever we get a date and when it's going to start, but look, going in, I think it's the same. It's not expectation, but the same feeling about last year. Have a good crack at the league and try and win a cup or two, or one of the cups. Obviously, one of them didn't happen last year, but I'm thinking the same this year. Go in in the league, try and get a cup run together and see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think the club have been crying out for silverware for a few years now. We've come close at times. A couple of years ago we were in the cup semi-final, got knocked out by Rovers, and made a kind of mini kind of title push, I suppose, last season. But yeah, I think to win something like the EA Sports Cup, the League Cup, even something like that would be good. It'd help the club push on to try and get an FAI Cup or even win the league. Because it's a lot of good stuff is happening down at Bohs. You'd like to think that within the next 3 or 4 years we will get our hands on a league title or even a cup. I think this season, it's probably just the same as it was last year, just to try and
Yeah.
get Europe and make a good push for any sort of cup, whether it's the League Cup, the FAI Cup, even the league. Just try and make a push for something. I think it's realistic that we can win at least an FAI Cup or a League Cup. I know the League Cup is probably kind of less important one out of the three, but even within that would be a success. I think it give the team confidence to push on and get a cup or a league. So yeah, that's where we're gonna end it. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment what you make of Stephen Mallon signing and the potentially bashing Hery coming in soon. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.